What is going on? Welcome back. Third and 20 podcast, episode 65. Feels like it's like a 66 or a 67 for some reason this episode. It doesn't feel like it's episode 65. I don't know
Our
why.
our podcast is old enough for Social Security.
Yeah, unreal. Let's ride. All right, let's speaking of riding, let's just get right into it. And Oregon riding into Ohio State and taking them out.
Mm.
Taking them out. I mean I know that you liked Oregon a little bit against Ohio State, but I don't think really many people saw that game coming where Oregon kind of just goes in there and beats a consensus top three football team in the NCAA right now. And I have to give a shout out to Joe Moorhead, the offensive coordinator of Oregon, because I think that a lot of that win has to be credit to him. Ohio State was just kind of doing their usual thing, running a lot of man single high looks, and dude, they were taking heavy advantage of it, running the same couple of concepts, um, getting some cracks from the receivers on the outside, setting CJ Verdell free for a huge day, 3 touchdowns, over 100 yards, and running some arrow concepts, slant flats where you're taking advantage of matchups and space, man. It was really awesome to see, and it just shocked the college football world to see Ohio State with a loss on their record this early.
Yeah, especially from like a team coming from the Pac-12 because it's been a while since a Pac-12 has beaten a top team outside of their conference. Can't remember the last team who it was because they said it on a game day, but I missed the part where they revealed the answer. I said it was going to be Washington, but I don't think it was after all. But yeah, I think Oregon kind of just looked at that Minnesota game that Ohio State, just played and said, "Hey, man, if you want to beat this team, you gotta run the ball." I mean, like they cannot stop the run, and they had over 250 yards rushing on the whole day for Oregon. That's something they've always excelled at. And for Ohio State, you kind of got that feel during that Minnesota game that this wasn't going to be like the Ohio State teams from the past. Like usually they just destroy a Minnesota team, right? And then they play Oregon, a top team, and they just destroy them, and they have an easy road to the playoff. There's holes in this team. I think they're really set offensively. If they had to get in a shootout, they'll be able to hold up with anyone. But yeah, good for Oregon because that Pac-12 is going to be interesting now, especially with what else has happened there.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna bring it up for people watching on YouTube. I tweeted out this picture during the game, and you can just see the truck-sized hole that CJ Verdell had to run in on this play, but it was like that the entire day. There was no one in sight for a large part of this game. And like you said, this is a clear weakness with this Ohio State football team is that they can't stop the run.
Mm-mm.
They haven't been able to. They let Minnesota and Mo Ibrahim run all over him until he got hurt. And now we see it with CJ Verdell. I mean, you have to give some credit to this interior Oregon offensive line. They look legit. They were moving people. And with a mobile quarterback, it put a lot of their linebackers in binds, and it forced players to make one-on-one tackles in wide open space, which they weren't able to do. So clearly, Ohio State needs to change a couple of things. I personally, some of these defensive linemen have to be getting benched. I think that that's number one is the fact that they are just getting bullied up front so hard. You're Ohio State. You're supposed to be. It's like
I mean,
you,
they've had
Bama, and
great D
Georgia.
lines.
Yeah, like you, Bama, Georgia, Clemson are supposed to be the ideal recruiting teams. You should never be getting that beat at the defensive line position. Never. And like Ohio State is known for having stud D lines. I mean, you could
Yeah,
just list off the amount of number top 3 picks that have gone out of this program in the past couple of years.
I don't think they have any this year.
It's not looking like they have any this year.
I don't
Um,
think so.
so honestly, crazy game, big win for the Pac-12. I was talking with some of my buddies about this. Like, where do you think this would rank on some of the bigger wins for this Oregon program.
I mean, if recent history, like the last 5 years, it's got to be number one. But I mean, we got to remember back in 2010, even when Mariota was there, I mean, Oregon was playing in the Natty.
Well, yeah, that's I was more talking about like recent history, man. Like this has to be
It's got to be
the big one of the
since
bigger wins.
it's got to be like last big win I could think of to this like drastic measure. Like, don't count the bowl games if they've won at like a New Year's Six or whatever. I'm pretty sure they have, but I would say when they beat Florida State and Jameis back in what was that 2014,
Somewhere around
first
there.
playoff.
So, okay, other college football news. USC got smacked
Oh
by
yeah,
Stanford.
it's bad.
Absolutely smacked. No one expected this because this is a Stanford team that lost a lot of talent from last year to this year. And not only that, USC had a ton of hype. I picked them to win this conference, and all of a sudden, just shit has hit the fan. Coach is fired 2 games into the season. You get smacked by what's seen as one of the lower tier Pac 12 teams right now. Not like super low tier, but you compare them to UCLA and Oregon and even in Arizona State. It's like, dude, what's going to happen with USC here? Is this panic time for this program?
I think it's got to be huge panic. I wouldn't be panicking as much if this game was an out of conference game and you just got smacked. You went somewhere that you aren't accustomed to playing, new atmosphere. The thing is, you play Stanford, pretty much every year. You've been in that stadium before, and then you just go over there and, like, you're the more talented team on paper, and you just get shown up. It proves that even at the end of the day, it's still football. Like, we don't care how high you rank. Like, you can lose on any given day. And I mean, I think that's a wake up call for USC because coming into this Pac 12, USC was one of the favors because Slovis was a Heisman contender. And I think it's full on panic mode. And I think they were on full on panic mode after that. And it's the reason why the coach is gone.
Yeah, I think one of the other big reasons is that there's no excuse for that USC offense to have as bad as of a performance against a lower talent team in Stanford compared to because USC, I mean, they're the team. It's like it's them in Oregon. They're getting at least to me, unless those recruits are going to play in the SEC. It's like, dude, you're getting those players a lot of the time, right? You have a
Mm-hmm.
huge leg up. No excuse. You're an offensive coach. You have the quarterback. At least a lot of people thought. I think that Keaton Slovis is pretty good. You have guys like Drake London, really, really talented receivers that are already getting NFL hype. There's really no excuse for having that dud of a day offensively. And last thing I want to say about this game is that Stanford's quarterback, Tanner McKee, I was really impressed with what I saw from him. I'm pretty sure he was like the number 3 overall quarterback in his recruiting class and
Okay.
comes in. He got the starting job. I'm pretty sure he came into the season as a backup, got the starting job after week 1, and seems to be wheels up for this kid. He played phenomenally well. He has an interesting little release. I mean, I'm just curious as to how far the Stanford team can go. If this was just a good performance, if this was just a bad performance from USC, like what are the implications?
I think it depends, like they have the coach. That coach has been there for, since Andrew Luck was there when Stanford was really good and running Rose Bowls. So I think it's just it comes down to like how like can you put this level of play, like can you do it like every game?
Yeah,
you're gonna have to
week in,
play.
week out consistency.
And it's the Pac-12 at the end of the day. And now with like USC, like looking, they're going to fall back to the middle of the pack. UCLA on the rise. Oregon with the big win. Arizona State's got a huge game this weekend to prove themselves. I mean, this Pac-12 I think it's going to come down to the final week. And it's going to be a fun ride to watch.
I mean, we were saying it a lot before the season that we were really excited to watch the Pac 12. We've been pleasantly surprised with a team like UCLA, not only playing really well and beating teams like LSU, but I mean, doing it in a really fun to watch, awesome way in a program that you really feel like you can buy into. So, like you said, Pac-12 has been fun to watch, and hopefully will continue to be fun to watch. I'm trying
Also,
to find my segments here. I knocked it over.
with the Pac-12, like these last 2 weeks for them have been great for just the conference in general because people have to say out of the Power Five that many people would lean Pac-12 being the weakest, and that's because their lone representation for the college football playoff was that Washington team many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But now in back-to-back weeks, you had a UCLA beat LSU, and then you had Oregon beat Ohio State. These are two teams that have played in national championships the last couple of years. LSU winning theirs. Is it the same team? No, but they're still getting the same pedigree of players. These are teams that are like you're beating teams that are out recruiting you. So for the conference, I just say that's a huge dub in general.
Yeah, it just feels like Oregon, especially, was that team that every single year kind of came in with high expectations, and to a certain extent, underperformed. Like, I'm not going to say that those Justin Herbert Oregon teams underperformed, but like you said, they were definitely a step behind those top SEC teams, and then Clemson and Ohio State. So it's really nice to see them get one back, right? Okay, next one. Iowa State got rocked by Iowa. I mean, I really liked Iowa State and would have picked them coming into this game to beat Iowa. I think you were on the same page as me. What the hell happened? What is up with Iowa State? What the hell is going on?
I I should have saw that. They had that close game. They barely won against who? Northern Iowa or Northern Indiana. One of
Yeah, I
those.
think it was Northern Iowa. They got off to a really rough start.
I they should be good, right? Because you've got all these guys returning from that Big 12 championship team. You got the quarterback. You got a beast at running back. Brees Hall's still really good. And I thought their defense played like halfway decent, especially in that first half. They were keeping them in the game, but Brock Purdy, man, he ain't it. I like I don't know what it is about him. I wasn't really that huge on him. I see him as a good college football quarterback. He's going to win you some games, but Iowa State, I like. It's kind of questioning, can you do it again from this like first time you've ever been relevant? Like, and I think I'm just going to put it on. I think it was a COVID year, threw some teams out of whack, and they took advantage of it.
Yeah, I was also on a similar boat to you with Brock Purdy that I wasn't really a huge fan. He was a guy that I don't think he started playing quarterback until like his senior year of high school, and so he just doesn't have a ton of time at the position. He's raw. He has the physical talents, but you just kind of see the rawness when he plays. And I had said coming in, I like the Iowa State team, but I didn't trust them to go and win like every game. I thought they could win a big game, which I kind of consider this a big game. I thought they
Oh
would put
yeah,
up a better performance,
it was
but
9 versus 10. Game day was there. It was a huge game.
so I thought that they would have shown up in the big games, but they would have had one of those games, maybe against like a Kansas State or something, where
They
Brock
slept
Purdy
up.
kind of goes out there, plays rough, and then they get out to behind, and he's not able to be the guy to lead him back. Maybe that was this game this week. I don't really
No,
know because it was kind of that game script, and I think that's the big problem with Brock Purdy is that I do not trust him to throw me back into a football game, and you just saw it on display there that he's not the guy that's going to be able to do that.
that team will go 6-6, 7-5.
You
They're
think so?
they're heading that way.
So
100%.
you're selling all shares of Iowa
Oh,
State.
I'm
You are
selling.
out.
I'm out. I am completely out. Get me out now. I do not want to take that team anymore.
I'm still in. I'm holding diamond hands on Iowa State.
I mean, like,
Obviously, it's not going to be great with this loss. It's
I
going to be
like
a
Matt
huge
Campbell.
blemish, but I still think that this team is too much talent to not win some games and have a pretty decent season still.
And also, like, going into that game, well, during that game, Iowa, they had a couple turnovers that just really screwed them. And one thing about Iowa is when they played Indiana, they had a couple pick sixes. And then, like, that next game against Iowa State last week, they turned those turnovers into points. Dude, maybe that's just Iowa's like bread and butter this year. They just create a lot of turnovers and play solid defense, and then their offense gets work. Because if that offense started with the ball on their side of the field, Iowa State, at least for that first half, was they weren't really moving the ball that
Yeah.
well.
Well, also, I mean, you're right. Give credit to Iowa because they made plays. And I kind of chalked that first game up to okay, you have an Indiana team that I also thought coming into the season is good. They just made some mistakes. But I think you might be right here in that Iowa team, that Iowa defense is just really legit and makes plays. The other thing I will say is that a guy that I really like, Charlie Kolar, that Iowa State tight end, like he wasn't having a great game. He was kind of dropping footballs, not making plays. I mean, Brees Hall was good,
Brees Hall's
but
good. Like he's the
yeah,
best
he
player on
was
the
good.
team. He's the best player on the team.
So I'm not going to pin the loss on him or anything. I just felt like the Iowa State playmakers, the guys that like are supposed to be the leaders and the top tier dudes on that team, didn't make the plays, and that's one of the big reasons that they
I don't know
lost.
why, but that game made me buy more shares into Brees Hall for some reason. I don't know. I kind of like,
I'll tell you what, his vision looked really nice. I
yeah, I
thought that
just
he
like the
like
way he
handled it well.
attacked the hole. Like he
Hmm.
looks natural at it. Like I take him.
Yeah, it almost like he reminds me. This isn't going to be the best comp, but it's like Khalil Herbert, that like kind of patience runner and the good vision for college football. But if Khalil Herbert had that kind of elite level athleticism,
Mm.
Brees Hall is almost what you wanted Khalil Herbert to be, in my opinion. And I haven't watched enough tape on him, so don't hold me to that yet. So last game I wanted to talk about. This is like one that I finally got right. Like all my teams, the two teams I liked Iowa State, they lost. I like USC a lot, they lost. But my underdog for the SEC, Arkansas, comes in and smacked Texas.
Welcome
Smacked
to the
them right in
SEC,
the mouth.
Texas. Welcome to
Because
the SEC.
Texas, yeah, right? Texas, they got the hype. Oh, Sark is there, Bijan Robinson, all these dudes. Boom, smacked back to reality by Arkansas. I like to see that Arkansas team have a good win, but I do think this more kind of shows us that this is the same Texas team that we seem to get every year, where they'll play well in week one, but then all of a sudden, come through the stretch, they let you down.
I think with it, because Jesus, what a they start with such a difficult schedule. First of all, you got to play Lafayette, and they're no slouch, right? But like they look good against them. Like you beat a team that's going to be contending for like to be a top 25 team all year, if not going to win their conference. And then you come out against Arkansas. Like, listen, 2 years Arkansas was, right down in the cellar with Vandy. And then last year it looked like they made some strides. They were a really good team against the spread. And then this year it just, I mean, dude, Arkansas is a good when they're good. They're a fun team to watch because, like, I remember the Ryan Mallett days. Like those students.
Ryan Mallett, what a
Oh, dude.
throwback.
Oh, dude, Arkansas was sick back then with Ryan Mallett. But I mean, yeah, I'm impressed with Arkansas. That stadium, that energy was really fun too, and it's just always like something extra. I think that's what it is too. When you beat Texas, like everybody just wants to beat Texas because they want to do the traditional horns down thing and just throw it in their face. So that's pretty fun. But yeah, Arkansas showed up, and that NFC West, that SEC West is going to be they're going to play spoiler in some teams too, especially if you have to go at Arkansas.
Dude, I mean, I just think like
Arkansas
Arkansas's
could beat
got some
A&M.
players, man.
Arkansas could
Arkansas
beat
has some
A&M
players.
right now.
And that wasn't really priced in at the beginning of the season. The fact that this is a team, it felt like Arkansas was getting more like the South Carolina treatment, where it's like, okay, obviously they're going to have a couple of good players, but they're just going to be shit again. But no, Arkansas showed up, and I'm excited to see if they're able to keep up this momentum and get some more good wins. Um, Anything else you wanted to mention from college football week 3 was, right? Week 3? Yeah, week 3.
Those are the big games. I think the night game too, because last week you had what, like 4 or 5 teams say they're going to the Big 12 now. BYU had a really impressive win against Utah. At home. I was on Utah on BYU that game, and just like Because like these teams are getting trolled saying like, okay, well the Big 12 is just going to be a joke. These are competitive teams in UCF, Cincinnati, and BYU, and like they're putting it on show for you right there. And especially Cincinnati's got a big game this week against Indiana as well to put them on that map. So I
I
thought
mean,
BYU.
fuck, I might take most of those teams over Texas right now if they were to play next week.
I'd take Cincinnati easily over Texas.
UCF Dylan Gabriel is legit. I think he's an actual quarterback. Like I'm looking at him
As long as he doesn't
to
act dumb and turn over the ball.
yeah, but I'm looking at him to be a potential NFL prospect. I mean, he
No,
doesn't
he was
have that
really good.
prototypical size, but dude, I like him. He's a lefty. He can really rip the freaking ball too. I think you can tell that he's like one of those baseball player kids because you can tell, dude, he's got a rifle, man, and
Hmm.
he can throw it on some good angles. I like what I've seen out of him. But let's look forward to this week in college football. A couple of games that we are looking forward to. Big one, Auburn Penn State.
Mm.
This is the big one. Penn State, we saw them get that huge win at Wisconsin.
Shouldn't have
Um,
never happened, but
Apparently, their coach, James Franklin's his name, right? I'm not
hmm.
getting that wrong. Apparently, he's got some looks to potentially be the USC coach. So,
I mean, that dude started from the bottom. Now he's here. I mean, he started at Vandy and got 8 wins with Vandy. So if anyone can do that, I mean, they're allowed to go anywhere they want.
so yeah, it'll be interesting. I am really excited for that game just because I kind of think that this is a good test for especially more Auburn. I think that the pressure's on because it's like you need to, you're actually playing someone now. I think we kind of know what we're going to get out of Penn State. It's going to be a Penn State team that has a really good defense, but if Auburn's able to go out there and put up some points against that good Penn State defense, Penn State will lose.
Yeah, but Auburn's got to like they're no slouch on defense as well. Like I think this game's actually pretty even in the sense of they're two unknowns, and what's going to come down to is quarterback play because Sean Clifford and Bo Nix to me are on the same spectrum. Like
Yeah.
you got a little bit of talent. You got talent there, but like you've really never put it together. Which one of them is going to put it together and make the bigger play? I would probably lean Bo Nix. Hello.
Well, I think that Bo Nix is. Here's the difference, I think, between the two. Because I agree with you that they might be on a similar level, but Bo Nix really does have that elite level ceiling. That if he's able to finally put it together, right, and take that big step forward, like a lot of people think that Matt Corral might have done, because he's been playing really well. Granted, once again, Ole Miss hasn't really played anyone either. Um, so like now you get it because this Penn State defense is legit. They have some and like every year they have NFL level players, but once again, this is a easily top 20 defense in my opinion with a bunch of NFL players on it. So this is not. I mean, Bo Nix is obviously a big test for, but I'm more intrigued to see my guy Tank
I
Bigsby
was about to
and see what
say
he can do.
Auburn like has to feel good where they're at because at the end of the day, you have the best player on the field, you know, and
Well, yeah,
Tank.
that's just why I'm excited to see because as a freshman, I remember watching that Georgia game because I'm a big Tank Bigsby guy, and I remember seeing okay that Georgia defense was legit, and they were kind of just getting to him in the backfield, and then you kind of saw Tank Bigsby like the inexperience and the youth kind of showing. Now I finally get to see him a year down the line, right? You're in the system, you're a little bit more confident, you're not the new guy on campus stud defense. I want to see a good performance from my RB1 right now in college football.
And it's going to be tough because like also Penn State's defense is looking like it's pretty legit, but
I think they're really legit, dude.
on top of that though, like playing at Penn State is going to be a night game. I wouldn't be shocked if they do that little whiteout they have.
Oh, that place is going to be rocking. That place is going
Mhm.
to go crazy.
Yeah, that's gonna be a fun game to watch. I mean, I won't. I'll be tuning in because I gotta watch South Carolina upset Georgia. But after we're up like 21-0 by the first quarter, I'll switch over and see what's going on.
But I really am excited for that game just because I think that it's a big test for Auburn and we really get to see what kind of team this Auburn team is. Um, this is a game that you're excited for, and I think that you got a decent bit of cash on, and that's the Cincinnati Indiana game, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, like
What's the spread in that game right now?
since he's favored 3.5.
Okay, so Indiana's still getting a lot of credit right now. It
Yeah,
looks like
so
Vegas is
it's
not
it's
out on
it's
them.
at Indiana, so they give them a field goal. But like playing at the Blood Dome at the Hoosier Stadium, it's a little tough place to play, especially now that Indiana looks like they're a halfway decent team, and you still have Penix there, so it should be competitive. But dude, that Cincinnati team, I really like what's his name, Riddler, that quarterback.
Yeah, Desmond Ritter.
Yeah, I like them. And again, like what I was saying earlier, that Cincinnati's one of those teams moving in the Big 12. They need like one of those big wins. I think that's coming this week, and a team that's going to be competing now because like the four teams to make the playoffs is wide open. Besides like Bama, you know, because with Ohio State and Clemson both falling back to back weeks, this is time Cincinnati needs to ramp it up. That game starts at 12 right after game day. You just start off with a bang.
I mean, I agree with you, and I'd probably be on Cincy too. I like Indiana, but I really don't think it's a great matchup just because we saw what happened when they got up against a legit Iowa defense. At least Iowa has convinced me they're legit. I'm not gonna act like I was on Iowa or anything, but this Cincinnati defense, the whole Cincinnati team, I think is just really, really good. Defense, especially, I think that they have a legit unit. So it's going to be interesting to see, can Indiana actually turn it around, or are the struggles going to continue for that football team? Next game, this is an interesting game, but I think that we kind of know what's going to happen. It's Bama against Florida. Listen, I understand it's a 1v11 matchup, but dude, I'm watching these Alabama left and right tackles, man. I just don't think anyone, unless people start getting hurt, are really going to touch this Alabama offense again. I think it's just going to be the same story.
I'm not expecting an upset here. Again, like this is probably like ranking rise. Like if you look at the schedule this week, it's the biggest one on the slate. But there's something. You know how I was saying earlier, I was very questionable on Emory Jones. I was not high on him. I
Yeah.
think Dan Mullen's kind of like that too because he's been playing the other guy just as much, and I think he's better. I like. I I'd be surprised because Emory Jones is probably going to get the start, but I'd be surprised like see how short his leash is. Things are not cracking the first drive, and you look up and you're down 10-0, and see him get pulled.
So I think the one big thing that Florida needs, and they have that one really sick corner, they need to be able to create some turnovers because Bryce Young is still a young guy. I still think that he's not great as an in the pocket quarterback. He still has a lot of room to improve. And that's saying that behind a really good Bama offensive line. So that to me is the one way that they're going to be able to have a prayer at winning the game. Get some turnovers. Because if you let this be an even football game, that Alabama offensive line that while last year and in previous years their offensive line is good, this year the Alabama offensive line is unfair. It is
Mm.
unfair the amount of talent and the athletes that they have on there. That Bama offensive line would be a really good unit in the NFL, let alone college football right now. It is
Yeah,
insane.
be better than the Falcons' offensive line.
Oh, yeah, I think the Falcons would switch in a heartbeat. Um,
But it is at the Swamp again. A tougher place to play. If you're talking about Bryce Young, even though like he looked really poised and it's like against Miami and Mercer, like no one cares. But like if the fans get behind him early and he comes in there and like it's a little too loud for him, he's not used to it. You get a couple picks, anything can happen. But
Yeah, that's the thing is that you need to make Alabama make mistakes. If you make this a regular old football game, Alabama's going to be the
it's like
winner.
playing the Chiefs.
Yeah, like
You got to
Florida's
make
just
them
going to
beat
have to go in
themselves.
there. They have to have a really good game plan. They have to have big plays, and they have to force Alabama to make mistakes.
Because when was the last time Alabama lost a game just straight up? Like to Joe Burrow? Like it doesn't
Yeah.
happen. You have to have one of those spectacular teams that can just like play against them. And Even when Clemson beat them the Natty a couple years ago, still like Tua threw that pick. Was it Tua? Yeah, it was Tua threw that pick six to AJ Terrell. Like Alabama, you kind of beat yourself there. That's what if I'm Florida, I'm attacking. I'm being
Well,
aggressive.
I'm sorry, but I also just think that Clemson team is way better than this Florida team. Um, I really do not see a world where Florida wins. Um, Second to last game for college football that we are excited for: Arizona State against BYU. BYU shocked me a little bit. I did not think this BYU team would be as competitive as they are. They have really shown up. They've had some pretty good wins. But I am really excited to see an Arizona State program that I am a big fan of. I like their quarterback, Jaden Daniels. We finally, I feel like I've been waiting freaking 3 years to see a matchup for Jaden Daniels that I am really looking forward to, a legit game and a test for this Arizona State organization and football team.
I've already bet on this game too. I got Arizona State minus 3.5. I mean, like these are guys I took to win the Pac-12, but also like this is why I like Arizona State really in this situation is because BYU is coming off like that, big win against Utah. Like you proved yourself, like you can hang with the big boys. Arizona State's now like looking at this like, okay, they're a legit team. They're ranked. They're 23 now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're going into hostile environment, and we got to keep up with these other Pac-12 teams that are making moves with the UCLA and Oregon with two big wins against ranked opponents. And maybe the BYU win wouldn't be as sexy, but still on paper it looks good beating a ranked opponent. I think this is, like Herm Edwards has to feel like this is his best team, and you got the better player in Jaden Daniels. So I like Arizona State to a prove it game here.
Yeah, this is just a really fun matchup, and the
And
one
you
thing
get it at
I
10:15 at night.
yeah, I'm gonna be tuning in. It's gonna
Oh
be a
yeah,
good
I
one,
love it. Love it.
and it just still feels like even though Arizona State they're a ranked team, they're just not the talk of the Pac-12 right now. So you don't really get, at least from the outside, feeling that there's a ton of pressure on this Arizona State team to come in. It's like they can still kind of play like they have a chip on their shoulder in this conference, and kind of like in the world view with some of these other Pac-12 teams getting most of the talk. Speaking of Pac-12 games, last college football game that we were looking forward to, Fresno State against UCLA. I just think that, and there's going to be a lot of people that say this, that this is just going to be an interesting game, and it could really be a trap game for this UCLA team because it's a Fresno State team. Everyone's going to bring up the fact that they played Oregon close. Um, it's just
Beat
a
the
good
brakes off
program.
UConn.
Yeah, this is just a really good Fresno State program, and UCLA, like, now people are on you. You don't have the chip on your shoulder anymore. You beat that LSU team. You beat a couple of good teams. You have everyone being like, "Oh, UCLA used this, UCLA that." All their players are getting hyped up. Zach Charbonnet is getting some major NFL looks right now. So now you kind of have to play with the target on your back. So you're coming off a really big win against LSU. Are we going to see them kind of take this Fresno State team for granted?
I don't think so because again they had the bye week in the mid, so like you've had 2 weeks to really heal. You're rested. You're ready to go. But that could also be like a bad thing too. You could swing it either way. I'm more interested in seeing if UCLA secondary is legit or not because we know Fresno State they're going to drop back 50 times a game. This team loves to throw the ball. That's their bread and butter. Is this air raid? And it's fun to watch. I think it'll be a little entertaining game. I know like right now Vegas has it at 11.5. I think it's going to be closer than that. I would assume this being, like if they put up a fight with Oregon, they can put up a fight with UCLA. If Fresno State just wants to play spoiler all year, I mean they have the capability of doing it. I still like UCLA here though. I still
Yeah, I still
I got
like
the
them too.
like because like the way like it being a trap game, I would understand this if the team was like, kind of young, but like, dude, like these are 4 and 5 year guys. Like they've been in the program and they know this is their chance to really do it. So like I feel like they're just gonna be on attack all season.
Yeah, it's just going to be interesting to see. And right, and Dorian Thompson Robinson has just got to keep performing well. Charbonnet, let's see if he can control the game on the ground. All right. Anything else on college football you want to add?
No, I'm ready for this weekend slate though. It should be some good games.
All right, let's get into the juicers though, the NFL games, because this was like you were either in a close game or you got blown out. It seemed like in the NFL this week. So let's talk about some of the close games and let's talk about your Cleveland Browns, Mr. Steed, your Super Bowl
Mm,
pick, man.
they
If
played
that
like it.
punter, if that punter catches that football and sends that bad boy off the end of his foot, that might be a win for the old Brownies week 1 against the Chiefs, but big mistake on the road against the Mahomes and Andy Reid Chiefs, and you're going to end up losing the football game.
Dude, watching that game because like that first half, the Browns just like were the better team. Like those
100%.
those drives in the first half, it was like a well-oiled machine. It was boom, hand the ball off Chubb 5 yards, boom, hand it off. Okay, easy little out route. Okay, let me go deep to Schwartz. He's wide open. And it was just like Baker looked so good. Like everything was just working so well and they were playing well. And there's really two play because I still think, and this is weird because like Chiefs won the game, but I still think the Browns are better. I like because the Browns lost themselves that game, because like I'm not going to blame Chubb because like it happens. You're going to fumble. I still think he's like a easily a top 5 back in the game, but they were also the Chiefs just scored and then they were moving the ball. They were midfield when Chubb fumbled that. They were controlling the clock. He fumbles. You give the Chiefs good starting position. Okay, Mahomes, boom, whatever, and then you score again, and then Mahomes just does Mahomes crap where, he
Yeah.
throws a 75-yard touchdown rolling out, almost about to be out of bounds, and then slings one on his back foot, and oh, there's Tyreek Hill, like those plays are going to happen against the Chiefs because, like, you know,
I mean, what the fuck
it's
are you
just,
supposed to ask the defense to do on
you
half
really
of these
can't do
plays?
anything in that. And then, like, the big play was that punter. I guess he's never caught a football before because then you just give him a
Oh,
free
okay. I
touchdown.
don't want to listen. I understand it's an unfortunate play and it's easy to make fun of the guy, but it is really it's a high pressure environment. The guy has been
Oh, the
cold
fans were
all
back.
game. The cold like the dude hadn't punted all day, and I'm not trying to make too many excuses for this dude because he obviously needed to catch a football, but I feel bad for him. Like I really do feel bad for the guy.
I mean, a little bit, but like, come on, man.
It's
Like,
your job. It's your job to catch the ball, but
I mean, the Browns are like maybe last year if the Browns were like, just competing to make the playoffs, but this team has bigger aspirations than that.
yeah.
Like, we can't have that kind of mess around here. Like, we're winning this ball game. We're about to knock off the Chiefs week 1. I mean, Browns haven't won in week 1 in like years. I mean, might be decades.
Well, they had the tie against Pittsburgh that
Yeah.
one week,
So
so
half a
they got
win.
half a win. Um, the one thing that I was really impressed with the Browns, I guess, kind of two things. Because one, Baker looked really good. I
Yeah.
thought that we saw the maturity of Baker on display, really taking what the defense gives him, just instead of trying to be the hero, putting his team in a position to win. We kind of saw, okay, obviously the last drive, Baker, he started to see, okay, the pressure was on and he's trying to make that play while he's going down. He throws a pick.
He
Hey,
just
it's
got
week
tripped up,
one.
like
Yeah, you're on the road, week one with fans. Baker, he knows it's a mistake. He knew it was a mistake as soon as he threw the football. Thing that I was really excited about, if I'm a Browns fan, is we 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 have some big play potential now with Anthony Schwartz.
oh, that dude, I mean, Baker, the thing is, Schwartz was like kind of hurt during summer camp and all that. So like, them connecting on some of those deep balls, like I was like, wow, and that dude can fly.
He can fly. Dude,
That's
and
what you
Joku
need.
looked pretty dangerous
Yeah,
vertically down the
Njoku.
field. And this
Yeah,
is without a guy like Odell Beckham, who was really supposed to play that Schwartz role. If you have Odell, Jarvis Landry, and Schwartz on the field, plus those 3 and 2 tight end sets from the Browns, on
and then
top of
you
the
got
running
Chubb
backs, it's like,
and then
dude,
Kareem Hunt.
you
They're
almost
loaded.
have you almost have the Saints offense, right? How the Saints, it seems like, are going back to like that spread the ball around to everyone, let's play the matchup, but with all ultra talented players and a super stud all pro level, probably number one in the league offensive line.
Yeah, but like Will's getting hurt. Like That's tough to see because that kind of happened early in game, but they were still having success without him, you know. But I mean, I haven't seen like what the word on him. Hopefully, he can come back. I know he was like, I don't think he was carted off. I can't remember, but I know he went straight back to the locker room. But
Yeah, I
talking.
actually it said he avoided serious ankle injury. I actually forgot that he got hurt.
That was big.
Yeah, he's day to day. He's day to day with a
Well,
ankle
you can
injury.
let him rest this week because they're playing the Texans, you know.
um.
But talking about
Okay, I'm trying to
offensive
think of anything
line
else.
with the Chiefs, I mean, talk about a complete 180.
Oh yeah, but you
Yeah,
knew
but
that was
like,
gonna
I mean,
happen. I
people
mean,
were still questioning it, and like that, I for a team that had like a good defensive front, like in the Browns, like they really weren't able to get home too much, to old my homeboy. But
well, the thing that I was most impressed about was because a lot of the big additions is going to be Zeus, their left tackle, Orlando Brown that they picked up. But I was really impressed with the interior offensive line of the Chiefs. I thought that when those ends would really get upfield because Patrick Mahomes, right? The way that you try to beat him, it seems like, at least if I was a defensive guy, a defensive coordinator, is that you don't want to do a lot of these looping stunts. You want your edges to get up the field to force Mahomes to step up, and you pray to Jesus Christ that your interior defensive line can get some push and get some pressure. Because
yeah,
if you let Mahomes sit back there all day, dude, the guy can throw it a mile. He'll pick you apart. So you kind of have to just use your edges to get him uncomfortable and hope the other guys can come through. But that interior offensive line wasn't allowing him. They were forcing Mahomes to step up, but that interior O line held up almost every play, and they weren't able to get to Mahomes. So you saw him be able to step up and escape and start getting outside.
I mean, dude, the Browns beat anybody week one besides the Chiefs. Like Chiefs
It
come
looked
back.
impressive, man. The thing is that because you mentioned this earlier, that those first couple of drives, especially in the first half, man, they just look so prepared. It's
Oh,
almost
it
like,
was just it was like a play. It was all scripted and it was just going all
well, yeah,
according to the
obviously
plan.
the plays are scripted and
Yeah, but
whatnot,
like
but
it was
like
just like
it looks like really, it looked like they had spent the entire offseason working on like just this game.
I
Like, we
mean,
are going to be ready for this game.
they might have their last 8 quarters have been against the Chiefs. Like
Okay,
they
let's
just want
go
to get out
on.
of Arrowhead.
So let's move on. Steelers Bills. This is a
hmm
really interesting football game. First thing I have to say is hats off to the Bills defense because you talk about another 180. Okay, Steelers offensive line and running game in general is terrible. We knew that kind of coming in, but they invested. They tried to invest any and all resources they had. It seemed like tight ends, running backs, whole offensive line is basically different. But the Bills did that with their defensive line, and it seems to finally be paying dividends. At least that game it did.
Yeah. Um, I wasn't able to catch most of the game because of the Falcons, but I was keeping tabs on it, and I was really impressed with the Bills. Like seeing a change on the defensive front. I like to see them do it with like I want to see them go up against like a Raiders or something. Like with like a
Raiders, maybe like
or Chiefs, or
or like a
Browns
Titan,
or
because
Titans. I don't
it's
know.
like I don't want to
Titans,
like
really?
obviously that. Well, like, here's my argument. I don't necessarily need to see you shut down one of the premier run offenses in the NFL. I'm not expecting them to go in there if they're playing the Saints and hold Alvin Kamara to 30 yards rushing on
Well,
12
you're
carries.
not going to do that.
But I want to see you against a team like the Titans where it's been proven, and we saw it this past weekend. If you have a good front seven and a good run defense, you can shut down the Titans and force them to be one dimensional.
hmm
Let's see if it can happen. So Ed Oliver, I think, is like the big dude. Like, we saw it. We saw the flashes. Edmonds, we saw him. He's been a good player, but like confirmed. Okay, safeties played well. Bills defense not on them. Man, the Bills just should have won this football game. They should have. If that, the Steelers made plays. You had some unfortunate miscues, some week one misses. Gabriel Davis not being on the same page a couple of plays. Same thing with Emmanuel Sanders. It really seemed like the only two dudes that were on the same page with Josh Allen. was the same two guys last year, Cole Beasley and Stephon Diggs. But
Hmm.
that only really gets you so far. I'm not panicking if I'm the Bills or anything. You should have won this football game. It's just the Steelers, man. This is what Mike Tomlin does. This is why he's one of the better coaches in the NFL, is that he's able to win these kinds of games. Um, Anything else on that game? Steelers defense
Yeah, hats off the
look.
Steelers defense. Looks really. I mean, it's going to keep them in ball games. The offense ain't working. At least you have that something to rely on. Then just wait for the offense to spark up.
Yeah, I thought the Melvin Ingram pickup is starting to really look
I,
good now.
dude, like I'll be honest with you, I like Melvin Ingram more than I do Bud Dupree, and you got him cheaper.
Maybe like value for cash, right? Like price paid for player, maybe. But I just like the Ingram signing because now you're able to use a guy like Alex Highsmith as upside instead of having to rely on a dude in his sophomore year to be a premier pass rusher, right? Now
Hmm.
you have versatility, and you can never have enough pass rushers in the modern game. Let's talk about this Monday night game because I truly think this was one of my favorite Monday night games ever.
Hmm.
And my favorite since that infamous Rams Chiefs game where
Oh,
it was
the
just
60 to.
touchdown galore. This was a really fun football game. You had Lamar Jackson doing Lamar Jackson stuff. That one freaking touchdown where he did that move where he goes forward and then instantly back. I don't even know how you move like that, man.
Here's
Um,
Lamar Jackson.
he's so good. So like you had that. You had the Raiders being the good old Raiders. Derek Carr missing throws, but making throws at the same time halfway through the game. That was just a really fun football game. I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, I mean, I would have felt so bad if the Raiders ended up choking that win, and everybody's
Oh
like,
my god, that one, dude! Did you see the picture, the faces from the Manning broadcast
"Oh yeah, I did."
when that ball was tipped up in the air? That was hilarious.
I mean, it was just that was a very entertaining. Monday night definitely needs that. I thought, like, but with the Raiders, like, what are you after this? Okay, you have a very impressive win, a comeback behind win. You had some players shine, like they were really high in Brian Edwards, and he didn't really show out until like late fourth quarter, and glad he did because I mean, he about damn won that game for him. He made some really impressive crutch time catches. But what are you now? You know, because
I
like
know exactly what you are. Raiders, it's the same story every year, Mr. Steed. You're going to go in there. You're going to start off. They're going to have another good win. Maybe they upset the Steelers this week. Who knows? They start off hot. Defense is looking all right. It's a little suspect here and there, but they're making some plays.
I
You
mean,
know?
Max Crosby is a beast.
Yeah, he's good. And dude, I still think that
Abrams.
Abrams, man, I still like Abrams. He gets crapped on a
Oh,
lot.
dude,
I
I
think
thought he
he's
played.
good.
I thought he played really well.
Yeah, I thought he had a good game, but you're gonna start off 6-3, maybe a little a 7-4. Come that into the season though. Those matchups where it's like a Raiders Dolphins or like a Raiders Colts, they're just gonna Raider that crap up and then miss the playoffs. It's gonna be the same story.
Well, I think the tale of the two tapes is that the Raiders in prime time. Whenever I watch them, they just like damn, you would just think the Raiders were in the Super Bowl. Like how well they play, and then you get them on a 1 o'clock slate. It's like, dude, did half the team just stay in Vegas and they party in Vegas, or did they come too? Because like I don't know, but I mean, I still think this is a playoff team, especially with a huge win like that. I hope like Gruden finally gets the team because like you see why they pay Gruden the big bucks now is like not many other coaches are going to win that game. Plus, like look that cool on the sideline, just like kind of I don't know the way he was like carrying himself after like you know um they threw that pick. He kind of just like stood there still and just kind of looked up and was like, nodding to himself. He was probably thinking, he's like, of course this game would end like this when we're all celebrating. But, got the dub.
um, yeah, one thing I have to say, a couple things on the Ravens is that first off, it really feels like those injuries started to kind of show themselves in the second half because in the first half, it feels like the Ravens didn't really miss a beat, right?
Hmm.
Tyson Williams made a couple of big plays. Lamar Jackson was Lamar Jackson. Sammy Watkins was making some plays. Okay. It's all good and dandy to a certain extent. Second half rolls around, and man, it really feels like the Ravens, not Raiders, Ravens, on both sides of the ball were kind of a shell of their former self. Mainly due to those injuries. I don't think it's like the end of the world or the end all be all because like you need those receivers to come back, right? That Willie Snead, that ball that went through his hands for it ended up being an interception, right? Like,
Hmm.
dude, he need to make. Oh wait, no, that was for the Raiders. What am I talking about?
Yeah.
There was one play that someone made. Regardless, you get the point. Ravens receivers just kind of crap. It's just the way the news goes.
I thought like in the second half though the Raiders did a good job of making Lamar uncomfortable in the passing game because Lamar went for a while without completing a pass and you could see the throws he was making he wasn't really in the ballpark, and like when the Ravens took the lead it wasn't he had that one really good throw to Sammy Watkins like where he just like threw it on a
Yeah,
dime but like still what got the Ravens to that point where Lamar had that big run, I mean, like that's what Lamar's going to do, but
yeah.
I thought they did a good job of attacking that.
But I got the feeling that the only guy that Lamar was really on the same page with was Hollywood. Mark Andrews.
Yeah,
I mean, was
I
he
mean,
even playing that game?
he
What
was
the hell?
non-existent. I think he had like two
So
or three catches.
yeah.
Darren Waller had about 20 targets.
Well, this is kind of going to my next point with the Ravens is that listen, I understand that you're a team that loves the blitz and you want to get Derek Carr under pressure, and it was kind of working at first. But how many times are you going to all out blitz before it's just like bound to happen where you get beat over the top, right?
Hmm.
And it felt like towards the end of the game, it's just they're only calling one freaking play. They're just going cover zero, cover zero, cover zero, cover zero. It's like, dude, you don't even have Marcus Peters, man. It was only a matter of time before Brian Edwards or Henry Ruggs eventually got something over the top, eventually beat someone in one-on-one coverage with no safety help, even if they have good leverage. So I just felt like the Ravens defensive coordinators and defensive staff just kind of got a little lazy at the end of the game, thinking, "Hey, we can just live in these pressure looks, and no, it's not going to bite us in the ass ever." And
Yeah.
it feels like this is like every single game the Raiders win. It's like teams just try to bully them up until the point where they just make a play at the end, right? Eventually the Raiders, one of these fast dudes just makes a play, or one of these physical dudes like a Brian Edwards finally just makes a play, and they end up winning.
Hmm.
Um, let's go into the Jags game. No,
Hmm.
let's go into the Bengals before we get into some of the blowouts. Bengals win in overtime. And if you listen to the podcast, and if you look at my Steelers crap back here, you know that I am a Bengals hater. So I'm not praising the Bengals. You got a lucky week one matchup against a team that never shows up week one, a team that got like 17 penalties. Congratulations, you got this win. I'm not buying into them. You haven't proved me wrong or anything yet.
I think one thing I will say good about the Bengals is Jamar Chase looked good.
He did look good. Listen because I'm not a huge Jamar Chase guy, but he did look pretty good.
But good to see Burrow back. I'm still a huge Burrow. Mixon had a good game, once in his life. Um, Other than that, yeah, I think it was just kind of like you got
I just gotta say though,
whoever
why
won
the
that game
hell
was
were they
lucky.
running the ball so much at the end of the game?
I don't
What
know.
was Burrow's knee hurting or something? Because it got to the point where it's like, bro, are you trying to lose? Like,
It's the
you
Bengals,
know
dude.
it's coming. Just run, and then third and long. Obviously, you're gonna pass. Like, I think against any better or more prepared week one team, I think that you end up losing that football game.
Mm-hmm. They got an interesting
Um,
game next week. Oh,
Especially if you're not playing up against a team that has like 100 something yards of penalties. What other? So the Chargers Washington football team, that was still a close game. Um, man, I just felt like this was a tale of that Washington football team offense just wasn't really able to show up as much as people thought they were. A lot of that probably has to do with Fitzmagic getting hurt during
yeah,
the
I was about
game.
to
So
say.
not like obviously with Fitzmagic getting hurt, he was not able to get in a groove, and then Taylor Heineke kind of have to come in cold. not ready to play the game, wasn't taking the reps this week in practice. Not surprised to see him not getting a groove. So I am still a little bit skeptical about the Washington football team offense just because it seems like every single one of these players on this team is getting so hyped. And I mean, I like a lot of these guys. It's just
I thought Gibson had a good game. You know,
he looked
he had a
good.
fumble.
I thought like from a fantasy perspective, it was nice to see him get a lot of work, but I'm not going to come out here and say that he was anything groundbreakingly amazing or whatever.
I just still think they
Um,
got to do a better job of trying to get the ball to Scary Terry.
yeah, it's just I still like the Washington football team. I still think they're an immensely talented team, but I'm not sure I've seen anything to really make me think that this offense is anything more than an average offense.
I'm just
Even
gonna
though
kind
they seem
of
to be getting hyped.
I'm just gonna kind of chalk it to like, maybe a little week one in there on top of, losing your starting quarterback early in the game. It kind of throws off the whole vibe, you
Yeah.
know? So, but now like Heineke gets to start tomorrow night on Thursday. So
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. On the other hand, Chargers defense looked pretty good under Brandon Staley. They didn't choke a game away in the fourth quarter, which is a very encouraging sign. And even though Justin Herbert didn't have the flashiest day, I thought that it showed some pretty good maturity from Justin Herbert. Right? He was just putting that team in a position to win. You know, when you're a quarterback, not every week is going to look super pretty. You're going up against a really tough defense. I mean, Rashawn Slater looked really good. Clearly, a lot of positives going on for the Chargers. It felt like it's week one, so I'm not going to overreact, but feels like we're starting to get a playoff level Chargers brewing here.
I think they'll definitely be in the mix, especially if their defense plays that well, you know? And
It just feels like all the pieces are starting to really fit together for this football team. And not just saying that because they won in week one, but like from the offseason all the way until now, right? They've had a lot of good draft picks. You if you can finally get a healthy Derwin James for the whole season, it's like how far can this team go? And can they be
yeah,
a really legit team? Other close game really was Dolphins Patriots, a battle of the Bama quarterbacks. I thought Mac Jones looked pretty damn good.
I mean, he
Um,
didn't lose them that game.
Yeah, it's just the unfortunate fumbles. It's going to be interesting to see how Belichick handles the running back situation going on, just because I thought that Damian Harris looked really good, but that's the thing with Belichick is that he's the type of dude that will gladly take a Ben Jarvis Green Ellis over a more upside kind of running back if you don't fumble the ball. That's the
Hmm.
reference for those who don't get it. Ben Jarvis Green Ellis played for the Patriots a lot because the dude never fumbled, and then once he started fumbling, he's out of there. So good win for the Dolphins in sole control of that division right now. I'm still not hugely bought into the Dolphins. Um, I
I
thought
mean,
it was a
at the end
pretty
of the
weak
day,
performance, to be honest.
other than their defense still like creating turnovers,
Yeah, but I didn't love it, man. I thought that they would have been able to make Mac Jones look a little bit more uncomfortable. You know, because
Well, this
dude,
is
if Damian Harris doesn't fumble that football, I'm 90% sure the Patriots are coming out with a win.
oh easily 100%. They're winning that game. But this is also why we were really high on Mac Jones because, like, day one, this guy can play. He just, didn't look phased out there. And
Yeah, but man, like I saw, dude, this is a Dolphins defense that I think really, I mean, they threw some veteran quarterbacks some major fits last year, and okay, yeah, the film is out on them and whatnot, but I feel like I came away even with the Dolphins win expecting a little bit more from the Dolphins, even though it's a grimy divisional game. Good on you for getting the win, but I think you got a little bit lucky there.
I mean, this was how the Dolphins won last year, right? They didn't blow anybody out or have like, one game where it's like, damn, dude, the Dolphins are like legit. They win these games somehow,
Hmm.
Is that
I will
Flores
say,
or luck? I don't know.
I was not a huge fan of the Waddle pick, but man, did Waddle look great, and you can make an argument he won them that football game. So,
I mean,
Dolphins fans,
first
feel free
receivers.
to flip me a bird or something because maybe I was wrong there. Oh yeah, all those first round receivers looking pretty good right so far. But it's week one, so we'll see. Let's get into some of the non-close games. We can start off with your call, the Saints against the Packers. Whew, Saints whooped them.
I
Straight
think
up whooped them.
I think Aaron Rodgers still thought he was in Hawaii. Like,
I don't know. I'm just gonna chalk
Oh,
that up to we've seen this out of the Packers before. We saw it almost kind of against the Bucks last year. Just kind of one of
yeah.
those games where Aaron Rodgers isn't playing well. No one really on the Packers is playing well, and then they kind of go down big. Aaron Rodgers thinks, oh, maybe I have a one-on-one look downfield. I don't think he saw the safety, chucks it up, throws a pick, and you're out of the game. I think though, because all the talk is on Jameis Winston right now, and for good measure, 5 tutties. Jameis is back, but man, was this a masterclass in a Sean Payton offense? I
That's how I saw the game. They got out coached and they got out bullied up front. That's just how I saw it.
because like first off, Alvin Kamara in that running attack, you just saw how much space and how many opportunities is created. Because holy crap, it's like as a defensive coordinator, I don't know how the hell you would go around really game planning for Kamara. The dude is just incredible in every aspect of the word. Like this guy, because even if you're shutting him down from a running perspective, dude, you could just line him outside. He's a receiver, and
Hmm.
God forbid he gets any space. The dude is just so slithery and so slimy. It's just hard to bring him down. And then I said it earlier in the episode, man. I feel like we're getting throwback offenses with Sean Payton to those like early 2010s where you have some big dudes on the field. You have Troutman and Juwan Johnson on the field same time. You have a whole plethora of weapons, and that we're going to see a Jameis offense where it's not one dude. The one dude is Kamara, but everyone is getting a handful of touches, right? And we see these games where you look at the box score at the end of the game, and we see 8 guys, 9 guys with receptions
Hmm.
on the board, and just a nightmare offense to plan around.
Yeah, and for the Saints, another good thing, the deep ball's back.
Yeah,
Finally, it's been a while.
and defensively, I mean, this is a Saints defense that really nothing needs to be said. We saw how dominant that they were
I thought
last year.
I thought Lattimore played a great game against Devontae. Kind of
I
just like
dude, this Saints defense is just insane,
he's
man.
still really good.
They just bully people.
That's why I wouldn't count the Saints out even in the division yet. It's still a good team. I know they were in cap hell and they had to cut some players or whatever, and they don't have that dream Super Bowl roster they had for the past couple of years, but it's still a very competitive team. Are they going to beat everybody 38-3? Oh, no shot. But you know, I wouldn't want to play them.
I wouldn't want to play them either. And to that, I mean, I think that they have a Super Bowl caliber defense. You look at like Lattimore, Gardner Johnson, Cam Jordan, freaking
Williams.
Davis, Demario Davis, freaking. Whoo, you got a stud defense still. So I think I underrated the Saints a little bit coming into the season,
I
just
think I
because
did too.
I mean the offense was the problem for them last year, and the reason that they lost against the Bucks. That defense put them in a spot to win. So maybe the offense is better this year with a healthy Jameis instead of a
We still got to get Michael
12
Thomas back.
cracked ribs Drew Brees.
Yeah.
You know, a guy that's just hurting out there.
Get back
Um,
Michael Thomas, see what you can really do.
okay, so another smackage. Cardinals against the Titans. Kyler Murray.
I mean, he's got to be.
Kyler freaking Murray. I mean, we were saying it kind of in the offseason. I mean, me and you, we both like Kyler. I think one of us said that he was a guy that, once again, year 3 MVP level, MVP type of pick. I'm pretty sure one of us picked him for the MVP. I don't exactly remember. But I wanted to see the Kyler Murray Cliff Kingsbury relationship really take the next level. And it feels like we're getting that, because you go from a team that felt like it needed weapons to, with a little bit of possible improvement from a guy like Christian Kirk, the addition of a dude like Rondale Moore, bringing a little bit more talent up front for your offensive line. You still have D Hop. Offense looks insane.
I mean, it's what Kyler was doing out there. He's just being a wizard, dude. It looked like that one play where he's just running around and then throws it off his back
Ridiculous.
foot.
That's like
It's just
Madden type of stuff.
yeah. I mean, Kyler's always been able to do that, but he just really put it on show that game. I mean, he's got to be one easily now. His odds to win the MVP has to be drastically changed now. But
Yeah, he's probably got to be the favorite
This is
right
and
now.
like and still this Titans team is good. Like this Titans team's going to win games.
Yeah.
But this is why, like, I was saying maybe we jumped the gun a little too early last year on the Cardinals, and you should buy into them now because I think this is a more of a complete team. Because even the corners,
Played well.
I thought they showed up.
Front
Little Robert
seven looks
Alford,
ridiculous.
yeah, front sevens, they're
Because my
butter.
boy I always
Zayvon
forget his
Collins,
name. Yeah, Zaven Collins. For some reason on the pod, I always forget his name. Zaven Collins looks like a freaking stud with a capital S in his first game.
and then
Um,
what's his name had 5 sacks
oh, Chandler Jones. Yeah, that defense still has players. I
and
think
two
that
forced fumbles.
I got a little bit too concerned with their corners. I mean, it remains to be seen because that's a run first offense. So like,
Hmm.
if you go up against a good front seven and make that team one dimensional, they're going to struggle. But I mean, we've seen this type of game out of the Titans before, where they kind of just are flat, right? We saw
Yeah,
it against
I
the
mean,
Bengals last year, right? Like it could happen for some reason with this Titans team against anyone. It seems
yeah, they
like.
did it against the Packers last year on Sunday Night Football. Just got absolute waxed. Hey, it happens, but I mean, dude, Chandler Jones 5 sacks. You know what's kind of crazy about that
What's that?
is that last year the Falcons didn't have a single pass rusher have 5 sacks, and he got it in one game. Kind of crazy.
I mean, the way y'all are looking, it might not. You guys might not have 5 sacks in general.
We got one this year, one already. So
Oh, okay. So you're on pace.
yeah, by a guy
Nice.
like it's just in shambles.
I mean, speaking of which, we can go to your Falcons.
Oh God.
Yikes! I think yikes
Big,
is the only word.
I mean, dude, this team. I will just say this. I think it's going to be a really long year. I think it.
Under hit. I thought that the Eagles would struggle a little bit more on offense. That's the first thing I got to say is that Eagles offensive line is back. Looks like.
Is it
Um,
back or is it just no pass rush?
Yeah, but Brandon Brooks, Lane Johnson look like their former selves. That left side of the Eagles line, which is a huge problem last year, looking a lot better. Landon Dickerson looked pretty good. I mean, I think now with the tandem between Miles Sanders and Kenny Gainwell, it's looking nice. Devontae Smith, it just feels like it's pretty up for the Eagles. I'm not going to overreact because, like you said, it is the Falcons, but I don't think that we'll see as incompetent of an Eagles team as last year. It's
Well,
safe
it
to say.
definitely gave him confidence.
Yeah,
You beat someone that bad, and like, dude, they just like it was. I mean, it was bad. Even like on the other side, like the Eagles' defense has been pretty good. Even that going in, I knew that D line. That D line's been the same. You still got Fletcher Cox and all them. Like,
Javon Hargrave, you added
yeah,
his former steer. I think he's a great player.
like that D line's still pretty damn good and kind of like keep you away. But like, Jesus Christ, dude, like Jalen Mayfield and Matt Hennessy might want to look for other professions because those guys can't play football
Yeah,
as
I
they
saw a
know.
tweet that said Jalen Mayfield had a 1.6 pass block or blocking grade or PFF grade or whatever
Yeah,
grade.
he had the worst PFF grade ever, and
And the
like,
dude was saying that he didn't think it could get that low. That's a
he got that
yikes.
low. Dude, there was one play because like the Falcons had two good drives to start out, and of course it's same Falcons where they don't score in the red zone, but it was a 2nd and 3, and it's when Matt missed the touchdown pass to Russell Gage. But the reason why he missed it is because I don't know who the hell designed this, but they like Fletcher Cox like lines up right, and they have Jalen Mayfield instead of blocking him shift to the other side. And then Mike Davis is supposed to block Fletcher Cox. Like, what the hell is Mike Davis
Yeah,
supposed to do?
it's a full slide protection. It sounds
And
like I don't know
another
what play you're
thing,
talking about, but
it,
that's a common protection in the NFL.
yeah, and then another thing, like, okay, um, I reacted to Arthur Smith. I'm gonna give him more chance, but I hope this is not where like you hire Dan Quinn right to fix the defense, especially the D line where you need pass rushing. Never happened, right? Well, we bring in Arthur Smith to help out the offense, especially O line, because he was the O line coach. I mean, dude, the way that O line looked, that was the worst I think I've ever seen that O line. I don't like. Maybe they just need to go out there and be like, let's get a special teams coach, like, and just we're gonna get really filthy at special teams.
I'm pretty sure
And
special teams coaches have pretty good track record too.
yeah, but like maybe like it just means that the special teams will suck, but like every other side of the ball will be fine. Like I just don't even that for and now like on top of that, you have to go in
You got to play the Bucks.
with that front seven. Like Jalen Mayfield's going to get put through the ringer, man. Like Vito Vea's about to eat him
Yeah,
alive.
that's rough. That's rough.
Matt Ryan might die. They might as well just start Rosen next week.
Yeah, maybe you'll see something come up on the injury report out of nowhere. Who knows?
Mm,
Yeah, just all right, Rosen. Here's your shot, redemption arc, baby. You against Brady.
God.
All right, so another game. Let's go into Rams Bears. I don't think there's much on this one. We saw Stafford. It's just a classic Sean McVay Stafford offense that we thought we were going to see. You saw him stretch it vertically to a guy like Van Jefferson. Felt like from the first play, the Rams had won that game.
I mean, like, this is why we got you got the Rams in the Super Bowl, but at least having the NFC Championship. Week one they look like they're on a mission, especially with a guy like Stafford. He knows he's finally on a good team and he can play like it. I mean, I think the Rams did anything bad at all. I think they did everything right. I like to see Cam Akers out there. Sad that he's hurt, but
well, I think that was the only spot where you could say, okay, that's a little bit of cause for concern. Was Darrell Henderson running the football didn't look great, so I'm going to be interested to see if now that Sony Michel can get some practices under his belt, they gave him some decent draft capital for him to see if he starts getting some snaps.
got that one carry in last game.
Well, yeah. On the contrary, I thought David Montgomery looked really good.
Oh yeah, David,
a pretty damn tough Rams defensive front.
Yeah.
So I think there is some optimism for the Bears there. The fact that the second half of the season, it was an easy run schedule, but you were able to run the ball well, and you saw how that opened up Mitchell Trubisky to actually start putting up numbers. If you're able to run the ball like that, again, that's a team that held teams to like 80 yards a game rushing or something, like 90 yards a game. And that's in total. David Montgomery himself had over 100. I took his under, which he doubled it. So that's definitely really great to see, especially for when a guy like Justin Fields comes in. If you're able to give him a run game, take some pressure off of him, and they start stacking the box for him to really stretch the field vertically. So I don't think it's end all be all for the Bears, but it wasn't a great performance for you, especially that defense. Like, I was hoping that as the Bears, because we saw them early in the year last year, play some good defense against some good teams. This is what we were kind of scared about for the Bears. That I felt like this defense has kind of been trending down slowly but surely every season, losing talent, especially in the secondary.
Yeah, it's an aging defense. I'm still
a
not
little bit of concern there. I think offensively, even though you didn't do great, it's fine. You're not going to play the Rams every week. But
yeah, that's true.
Defensively, if this is a defense this just average or bottom half of the league, I think the team's fucked.
Yeah, I'm still not high on the Bears. I'm just, I don't really know what Nagy's got going on.
You're going to have to turn it around somehow. Broncos Giants. First off, Broncos look really good. Teddy Bridgewater, he was making plays, man, and we didn't really see that for the Panthers necessarily, especially in the red zone, like that fourth down where he did that stutter move to get a little space to throw the ball and then ended up in a touchdown. I was like, holy crap! Like, I'm starting to see some of the Teddy Bridgewater that was a first round pick kind of Teddy Bridgewater, not Mr. Game Manager Teddy Bridgewater for the Panthers. I was pleasantly surprised, but I am still not bought into this Broncos offense. I am not. I think that at the end of the day, man, Daniel Jones, stop fumbling, bro. Stop fumbling the ball.
I just think he really likes it for some reason. Like, just
dude, if Daniel Jones is going to continue running with the football, it should be this. It should just be two hands full on hugging the football. just impossible. You remember that one Chris Collinsworth broadcast where he was going over that weird ass way to hold the football?
Oh yeah, like
I gotta
the
pull this up. Hold on.
I forget what it's called. It's something like the eagle claw or something
Yeah,
like
like
that.
the claw or something.
Yeah,
um,
but I don't know. Just same old Daniel Jones, Danny Dimes. Um, Broncos do lose Jerry Judy though.
yeah, they lost Jerry Judy. Oh, I'm not. It doesn't show up on Google Images. Damn. You remember the pro? I wish I could pull it up for the people who don't know what I'm talking about. There's this picture. I remember in the Sunday night broadcast. Who was fumbling the ball a lot? Was it Gurley or no? It was Adrian Peterson. I'm pretty sure was fumbling the ball a lot, and he's like, "Yeah, he's got to do the eagle claw." And it was like I used this water bottle. It was like one hand kind of regularly on the football, and the other was just like, and it just looked so ridiculous with him doing it. That's what Danny Jones has got to do. Giants offense, man, it looks like a disaster to start off this season again.
It doesn't get any better when you got to play the football team.
I mean that Broncos defense is legit at least, and Saquon isn't healthy. So I mean, I was kind of saying like, dude, I think the Giants at the end of last season they were able to run the ball really well. I was hoping that some of that momentum would carry into this game. Clearly, it is not. And our Hooters bet has got off to a terrible start.
Horrible start. We should have doubled down on the Raiders.
Yeah, we should have doubled down. But the thing is that we're going to see a flop. We're going to see the Raiders second half of the season do their Raiders. And I believe in Joe Judge, man. I still believe in Joe Judge. I think he's going to whip these guys into shape. Maybe we'll see Glenn on the neck.
I mean, at this point, might as well play Glenn on because I don't know if Danny Dimes has it.
What else from that game? I thought KJ Hamler looked pretty good for the. He had that one drop pass, which I know everyone's going to make a big deal about, but it happens, man. I've seen Julio Jones drop passes. I'm not going to kill him for it. But
Yeah.
I thought he looked pretty dangerous, and I think it's year 3 for him. No, it's year 2, right? I thought he looked a lot better and a lot more dangerous. So it's gonna be
Well,
interesting to see what he does.
how about the Broncos rushing attack? Because Javante got the most carries, but Melvin had the most success.
He had that one big run, but
And a
yeah, like
tutty.
I was expecting coming into the season to see kind of. I mean, I compared this Broncos team to those Rex Ryan Jets teams from years ago with the AFC Championship, where you had like just a really good running attack, good defense. You had 2 good ball carriers. So I'm going to be interested to see if they can keep this up. Right, a team that hey, we just need you to put up 24 points and we can win any game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, Broncos defense looks great. Seahawks Colts. Seahawks got off to their good old regular Russell Wilson 4-5 touchdown start, destroying teams week 1. The defense didn't look like crap. I'm just curious because okay, Seahawks. We feel like we still have the playoff Seahawks. Are you concerned at all about the Colts?
I'm concerned that their leading receiver was Jonathan Taylor.
Because like I'm so off and on with the Colts because like part of me is saying, dude, like they look like crap. Like, but the other part of me is saying, okay, Carson Wentz didn't turn the ball over. He didn't throw a turn. He didn't throw a pick. It was an unfortunate game. You get a tough matchup against a good Seahawks team. You didn't know what Shane Waldron was going to do offensively, so Seahawks may have had a game plan advantage coming in. Colts defense gets off to another rough start, but we saw it last year, the same story with Colts. They have talent. They got off to a rough start. Just need a little bit of time to put it together, get the guys ready to go. So I am not going to panic on the Colts. I was thinking of being like, oh, I don't like this Colts team, and I took their under. I'm not going to panic. And not only that, I actually think we might see a pretty damn close game with them and the Rams, a team that I really like.
Yeah, that'd
This
be an
next week.
interesting game. I wouldn't panic either because, I mean, they can take one look at the standings and look at the leaders, the Texans. That's not going to last. So, you're kind of just back to playing game one.
Yeah.
Screw it. You had a
But
bad week. Everybody else lost. Doesn't matter.
But man, I thought that was a boring football game. I mean,
Oh,
not if
this
you're a
is.
Seahawks fan, but it was like Seahawks got off to the lead and like it was like that ever since. It's just the Seahawks just in control of that football game.
I wonder how it is when your team keeps the lead. Must be crazy.
Chris Carson looked pretty good.
Yeah, he fumbled, but yeah, I thought, what do you have, like 20 carries, 90 yards or something like that?
Yeah, I just he looked like Chris Carson's back because we
Yeah,
saw
I
him get
hope
off
so.
to a good start last year. Last game, Jets Panthers. I mean, I think this is exactly what you expected because I thought that this Jets team was very similar to a Bills team with Josh Allen as a rookie quarterback, where I like. Okay, clearly rookie quarterback first game, he's not going to be ready to play, and you saw that Zach Wilson made a couple of plays and he oozed his talent.
Made some good
Th-
throws. Kept
That
him in the
Jets O
game,
line sucks, and without Becton, it's just going to be even worse. So it's going to be a little bit of a clown fiesta.
and not much of a
Um,
running game.
I don't want to gas up the Panthers defense too much just because this is an easy matchup. You really should be holding the Jets to like 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, Max.
Um, I kind of wanted to ask you what you thought of Sam Darnold. If you were good, bad, so, like are you excited about Sam Darnold?
That game did nothing for me towards Darnold. Really, did nothing. Because, like he had that one really good completion to Robbie Anderson that was deep. Like that was good to see. Like, okay, he got a deep ball, but like, again, this is the Jets. We're only putting up 19 points. Like, come on, man. Like, let's do a little bit. We got CMC. Like, we,
Mm-hmm.
we can't put up a little more than 19. It just didn't do anything for me.
Yeah, but honestly, like even though the Jets lost, like this is exactly what I wanted to see out of the Jets. A team that kept the game close against a good defense. You saw Zach Wilson make a couple of plays, and this is just all I wanted to see. Zach Wilson, just keep your team in the game so that you can end up maybe winning one at the end. You don't need to be anything groundbreaking. Let's just play good football and improve.
Yeah. No, I think that's something to build on. I thought Zach Wilson made, his mistakes, probably more mistakes than great makes, but the makes he did, like, really good. I think they'll be competitive in some games. Same thing with T Law, too, like T Law made some mistakes, but like he made some really good plays. It's just trials and error.
Oh wait, did we ever talk about the Jaguars? I think we put them off for the bloods, and I forgot to talk about them. Right?
No, we never did.
All right, so that'll be our last game because this is actually a game that I feel like we. Okay, I don't want to say that we saw it coming necessarily, but me and you were both in that preview video. We're saying, dude, a lot of people are on the Jaguars. I don't know why, because this is a really young football team against a team that is quite literally made up of veterans. Like,
Hmm.
guy, their whole team is like 10-year NFL veterans, from the coaching staff to the freaking players.
Yeah.
If there was going to be a team that was going to shock someone week one with a blowout win, it's going to be them. Like,
Believe it
it's
or
just the
not.
way the news goes. It's a bunch of guys that know the NFL. They're not going to be surprised week one. They're going to be ready to play. They're professionals. The Jaguars, on the other hand, have a entirely new team of all young players. I mean, you have you have an experienced coaching staff, but an inexperienced coach in Urban Meyer for the NFL. So,
Who might not be
A,
there.
I am not panicking on the Jaguars. I expected this out of the Jaguars for T. Law, who's not ready to play. He's going to show his flashes, but he's going to struggle. And the Jaguars in general struggle. On the other hand, the Texans being a little bit better than people thought they were going to be early on.
At least we won.
Yeah, at least week one. I think we're going to see with the ebbs and flows, the Jaguars, okay, yeah, maybe they have another week or 2 or 3 of struggling, but I think by midseason, early midseason, we'll see this team turn around and start showing the flashes that we thought that they would show, and vice versa with the Texans. Um, you're going to see we kind of know what the Texans game plan is now. We have some film on them. Tyrod Taylor looks comfortable, but let's just wait for a team to start pressuring him. We'll see the Tyrod Taylor of the past that makes mistakes come out.
Yeah, that's why I didn't take the Jags. It's a trap game.
Well, yeah, I wasn't confident enough to bet on the Texans, so I'm not
Yeah,
going to
like
act
this
like
is
I'm
the
Mr.
thing.
Predictions over here saying I hammered the Texans, but no way I'm taking the Jags. I saw the Jags were a big parlay buster this week.
I mean, I just wouldn't put faith in a rookie quarterback, even if T Law's supposed to be like, the next big thing.
Yeah, and you're on the road too. Last thing I will say on the Jags, and I think this is the big fault of the Jaguars, and I said on the Dynasty podcast, is that you clearly saw what Urban Meyer and that staff wanted to do with Travis Etienne, and I think that they thought they would just be able to replace that role with James Robinson and then use
Oh, it doesn't
Kyler's
work.
Hyde in the James Robinson role, and it not only did it not work, it failed miserably.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that we're going to see that game plan get scrapped and that we shouldn't see the Jaguars running backs be as miserable against a pretty poor rushing attack or rushing defense from the Texans. So I don't think that we should be overreacting to the Jaguars running backs being terrible and the Texans run defense all of a sudden becoming elite.
Yeah, I agree. That game's just I don't know. That game just doesn't do it for me. It's
Yeah, I
kind of
think
a
that's a classic week one bait kind of a game. I am reserving judgment on both teams. Um, it almost reminded me. Remember that there was a Jaguars Dolphins game Thursday night last year. You remember
oh
because the Jaguars had that week one win against the Colts, and then whoever they played week two, I'm pretty sure they played them pretty close. And that game, I'm pretty sure it was Jaguars Dolphins.
yeah, it
It
was.
was week three, Thursday night, and it was like almost a pick 'em game. And the Dolphins came out and smacked them.
Yeah, blew him out.
If a similar pattern happens here for the Texans, if they come out this week, they're playing the Browns. Maybe they play the Browns a little bit closer or something. And they start getting some points, or vice versa. The Jaguars start really getting dogged. Like I'm not taking the Jaguars this week against the Broncos, mainly because I think the Broncos are a little bit better than the
People give
public thinks
credit.
or whatever. And it's just a tough defense. But a couple of weeks into the season, I am almost preparing myself for some really good lines on some overreactions to the Jaguars.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know. That team's gonna be. I think that's gonna be a more interesting, fun team to watch at the end of the day. Unless they, I don't think they'll make the playoffs. But just having all that young talent, seeing them put it together eventually would be fun.
Yeah, it's just if there's any team that's going to get drastically better just by playing games and getting more experience, it's them. So
Especially with Urban Meyer, he just needs to. He's still got to figure out the NFL. We got to figure out if he's staying in the NFL.
I think that those are I don't listen, I don't really know what's going on, but I just have a hard time believing it for some reason.
Maybe like people just want drama.
I mean, I don't know because people are saying, oh, people close to Urban Meyer are saying he's questioning things. I have no idea,
Is
but
he
I
questioning
really
things after 1 week?
that's the thing is that I really find that hard to believe. Like people are really crapping on Urban Meyer like he hasn't built like four really successful programs before. I
Mm-hmm.
understand it's college football, but building an organization is building an organization. I think that Urban Meyer kind of knew coming in that he wasn't going to come out here and start winning Super Bowls week one.
Oh
Um,
yeah, no.
so I
His
just
roster's
find
not
it
good
really
enough.
hard to believe that it's all crazy. And honestly, dude, like now that the pressure and whatnot's off the Jaguars, that might just help them.
Yeah,
That
I
they
mean,
can beat the team with the chip on their shoulder, like the Texans were that game.
yeah, I think if I'm T Law, I'm just glad that game's over. Like you did throw 3 touchdown passes, but like you just be like, okay, played in my first game, like whatever. I know how like I can catch up to the game speed because like I figure he's pretty quick learning on like the go, and it's just about this team getting comfortable. That's all it is. They're not comfortable yet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you knew that. Like, dude, T Law, there were times where he looked raw last year in
Hmm.
college. So, um, clearly he was not going to come into the NFL day one and start just. I don't want to say lighten up because he'll make his plays. He's too talented to not make his plays, and you saw that. It's just right now for every one of those great T Law flashes, you're going to get two
Hmm.
mistakes, and you just got to work that out of him. And he's got to get comfortable in the offense. So, um, that's all the games.
Oh,
You want
now
to?
thinking of, did all 5 quarterbacks taken in the first round score a touchdown?
Yeah, they did.
Wow, how about that?
Nice.
When was the last time that
Let's
happened?
go
Week
first
one.
round quarterbacks. Hell yeah. Everyone's saying, yeah, there's probably going to be 2 busts. Well,
What if they're just all
everyone's
sick?
scoring tutties. Yeah, what if they're all good? Um, so yeah, we can talk about the Thursday night game really quickly before the end. We don't have a ton of time. Giants against the football team. Steed, you are the Thursday night guy. Got off to a good start with your first half Bucks pick last week. Who are you leaning in this game?
I know you talked about it earlier, but I'm gonna go against you on this one. I'm leaning football team. Give me three and a
Okay,
half. Give me 3.5. I just
I like this Giants team. I like them.
or is it a 3? I think it's at 3, actually.
See,
Let me
the thing
check.
I don't like about this game, we were talking before the pod, is that there's just a lot of things I don't like about this game for the Washington football team.
Oh, dude, it's a toss-up game, but like again, football teams at home.
Yeah, I know they're at home, but short week, backup quarterback, Thursday night, the dogs are king.
I'm
I'm
not
taking
locking
the
in.
Giants.
That's my pick yet. Yeah, I will. I believe in Heineke. You give him all the first team reps, and I'm surprised you're not on this because you're more of a Heineke guy than me.
Listen, I really liked Heineke early in the offseason because I liked him when people were saying, okay, he's trash, especially in dynasty leagues, right? Where you could pick him up for a late third and early fourth, kind of like in the range of a Davis Mills, right? He's similarly valued to him. I was like, okay, well, I think that this is a guy that is a high quality backup level quarterback, a dude that
Mm-hmm.
maybe could even be a bridge quarterback. Dude, now people are saying that like, oh, well, if he plays well, he could be the starter for years to come. And it's like, okay, yes, that's a possibility. I am not expecting that. I still think that he is a high quality backup quarterback, and that's. But I mean, we'll see. I mean, the Giants defense is no slouch. It's going to be a fun game.
I
I'm
think this would be
excited
a
for
great
it. So,
game. I think it'd be a great one.
and now we're back up against each other. And my track record against you last year was pretty dog shit. It felt like every single pick that we had going up against each other, I was on the losing end.
Yeah, I'm taking football team here. I like a big day out of Gibson. This front seven's going to eat. You saw Saquon struggle last week. I think that continues. Just because the Giants' offense line, it made some strides late last year. And it didn't really look like they were that same unit in that first game. Maybe it was first game, but like still, this is a short week. I think it's easier for the football team to prepare. Like, as you would think they feel better about where their team is right now in the season than the Giants. And again, like you get a better front seven with the football team, a couple fumbles are coming from Danny Dimes this game.
Yeah, Danny Dimes needs to do the eagle claw or
Yeah, just
whatever.
eagle claw it or just throw
Just
it.
eagle claw
You don't
that.
have to run
Yeah.
it. Just or like if you know you're about to get sacked, just fall down. Like don't don't try to do anything magical with the ball in your hand. I think this would be a really close
It's
game. I wouldn't be
crazy that he
surprised
has
if
like
Giants win this
I'm
game.
pretty sure I'm pretty sure that was the 40th turnover of Dan or the 40th fumble of Danny Jones' career. Not even 40th turnover. I'm pretty sure that was the 40th fumble. I don't know. There was a stat 40th something, either turnover or fumble. Whatever. It's a lot and it's
I
not
mean,
good.
this is a make break year, and it's not starting off good.
Week 1 though, if it's like I always say, if you're gonna struggle, it better be in freaking week 1. That's the best time to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But with that being said, if you made it this far, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. We're getting these streams on the YouTube, so if you're watching on YouTube, hit us with a subscribe. And if you're interested, we stream Dynasty Pod Tuesday nights, our pod Wednesday nights. We'll be streaming the picks on Friday, and we are probably doing a stream Saturday or Sunday for before the NFL games. So